Yeah, good evening all. Sorry for the delay. There was some technical glitch from our side. So please confirm, am I audible? Please just let me know. Am I clear with my sound, audio, video, everything? Yeah, let's start our session today. Welcome back to AgriAddict. And AgriAddict wishes you all a happy Teachers' Day and Eid Mubarak. I am your mentor Gayithri, MSc scholar from Division of Seed Science and Technology, studied at Indian Agriculture Research Institute, New Delhi. So in this video, we come up with the all seed certification and legislation in a one short video, which is very important unit from a seed tech, right? We have 8 units. One among them is seed certification and legislation. So if you are preparing for ICAR PG, PhD, and ASRB, whatever, wherever you get a seed tech part, it is most important topic where you get a lot of questions, right? If you see the any SRF paper, any JRF paper, you will encounter so many questions from certification which is interlinked with the legislation. So let's start our session today. Yeah, seed certification and legislation. If we see the word seed certification and legislation, you may be confused or you will try to interlink these two words, right? So let me tell you a story where we how this the concept of seed certification grew out. In early 20th century, when the some of the agronomists and plant breeders, especially from Sweden, that is, we may call them as a Swedish workers, they used to visit a field of progressive farmers. Those progressive farmers who obtain a source of seeds from them. So when they visited their fields, they come to know that there is a rapid loss of identity of variety. There is a loss of varietal purity, there is a loss of some germination standards, also the physical purity. Then they come to know that, okay, while visiting fields, we come to know this. There they found that is a milestone of field inspection, right? They have inspected fields. Thereby they come to know these problems regarding to the plants. Also, they encounter some other problems which are related to seeds also, right? Since we can't any solve the problems related to quality of seeds, which really need a controlled conditions to test for those seeds, they decided to held a meeting where at Chicago. Just try to note some points which is really important in history or background of any concept. So at Chicago in 1919, USA and Canada scientists, okay, they held a meeting that is called ICIA, International Crop Improvement Association, in 1919. This is the one later, that is in 1969, which is renamed as a AOSCA. It's very popular, everybody knows it, right? That is Association of Seed Certifying Agencies. So this is the foundation stone for seed certification. So as of now, we don't have any the proper record where actually the seed certification originated, but all the contribution will go to the Swedish. They have done so much of work. They are the pioneers of seed certification. Just remember this, Swedish workers. And officially, the US and Canada, they have started with a meeting at ICIA at Chicago. This is the background story of seed certification. What exactly happens in certification? The name itself indicates certification means certifying something or giving certificate to somebody on based on some standards. Okay, if they met this, for example, we will get our transfer certificate, we will get our mark sheet, that is also certificate, right? Where we will be having some information about, okay, I cleared this exam, I passed these subjects, this is my OGPA, this is my mark sheet, everything. In the same way, seeds should also have a certificate. Why so? Because as I told, when they visited fields, they saw their varietal identity loss. They come to know that, okay, seeds should have a minimum requirements so that we can assure the quality of a seeds. If somebody is purchasing from seeds, somebody is purchasing seeds from us, then they should get a good germination, right? Good quality, right? Or else they'll complain for, obviously they'll complain. That is why they wanted to know what is the real quality of a seed. So this AOSCA has given some basic seeds, some basic principles on seeds, like field inspection. Related to field inspection, they have mentioned that the field inspection should be done by the qualified inspectors or any experienced technical personnel. No, everybody can't do field inspection. It should be done by any qualified person that is about field inspection. They also given some about sealing of the seeds. That is, when they have packed, it should be sealed, so that, for example, if we see any item with the seal, with a proper seal stamp and all, we'll get some, okay, it is from some authorized one, right? In the same way, if it is having any seal, it will assure quality for both the producers as well as buyers. That is on sealing. And they have also given some minimum germination and purity standards. Okay, if we need a quality, that doesn't mean that every seed should have 100% germination, 100% purity. It is really impossible in some crops, right? Even 100% is really not possible, since agriculture is completely based on the climate. So they have given minimum germination and purity standards. Okay, and based, so also on the maintenance of records, it is very important. They have told we have to maintain the records for about the seeds which are certified, which are not certified, if it is rejected or if it is given any extension periods. So all those records which are related to seed aspects should be maintained. So they have given like this basic things which should be followed in the future as well. So our seed certification, whatever we are following at present, if we see that these are the basics, right? Even based on this only, we also have a field inspection, we also have sealing, tagging, we also have minimum standards as well as maintenance of records and any other things. Also, like the pedigree should be based on the lineage. All these terms we will encounter in our Indian certification also. Yeah, somebody is asking, ma'am, please add playlist of these. Yeah, sure, we'll ensure that we'll add these to our playlist. So, okay, now seed certification. Yes, I want to give a very quality seed to all the farmers. But is it really possible? If you don't have any person who is controlling you or who is not monitoring you, are you really working efficiently or not? How come they know that? So to control the quality, we need someone who will regulate our works, will regulate our functions. So we need some rules and regulations, right? Those rules and those regulations, we in India we call it as a seed legislations. Like, we have seed act, we have seed rules, we have seed control order, we have new policy on seed development, we have PPFR act, biological diversity act, then we have in 2002 national seed policy, exim policy, seed bills of 2004, 10 and 90. So these are the legislations or governing bodies behind the seed certification in India. I'm telling, okay. We are discussing everything, the seed certification and legislation in India, and at the end I am going to discuss what are the other certification agencies or other method of certification we have in the at a global level. Okay, so let us see Seed Act. Seed Act, which is enacted in 1966 but came into force in 1969. Before 1966, there is also agriculture, right? Before 1960s. Then what about that time? We had only NSC, that is National Seed Corporation, which is established in 1963, the sole governing body which is looking after all the certification, production, distribution and regulating of quality seeds. So after enactment of the Seed Act, every function is monitored by Seed Act now. So what are the provisions in Seed Act? If we see this, the Seed Act, which is established, which is enacted in 1966 but enforced in 1969, what is the main objective to pass this act? The objective is to regulate the quality of seeds which are for sale, for distribution, and for certification. To regulate this act, we have a rules, right? That is in 1968. Then seed control order. I'm just going to give some glimpse of all the legislations and in detail about a seed act and all other legislations where it requires just remembering all the provisions, factual things. You have to go through it in detail. If you are preparing really for ASRB, everything should be at the tip of your tongue because every provision, they may ask any section of any legislation. Okay. So, Seed Control Order 1983. We had this Seed Act, seed rules, that was going good. But what is the need of passing this order, Seed Control Order? The main provision of Seed Act is just remember notification. Whenever you just see the Seed Act, you have to remember notification of a seed because the Seed Act will give everything or will govern everything, such seeds which are notified by the government. So it is applicable only for the notified varieties. Then what about others? Is there any only notified varieties in a market? No, right? We have other registered or other non-notified varieties also. To regulate such varieties, we came up with the Seed Control Order 1983 under Essential Commodity Act 1955. What does it mean? Essential Commodity Act means where the government can declare any commodity as an essential commodity where it thinks that okay, this commodity is a very basic and there is a chance of, if there is a chance of spike of high prices, spike of price of such essential commodities, or is there any chance of black marketing or hoarding of such commodities so that they can fetch a very good price in the future. For such commodities, it is very difficult for customers, right? Especially for everyone, for the citizens, how to get such commodities if they are very basic and but they are fetching a very high price. That is why to control such activities, the Essential Commodity Act, what happens? In that act, government can declare any commodity as it thinks, okay, it is a very basic one. So we have to control its distribution, its sale, as well as its production. Before that, we had very important like fertilizers, some medicinal drugs also. In under this act, seed also considered as an essential commodity. Okay. Seed means it is also including some propagating materials. It, since in some horticultural crops, we don't propagate through the seeds, we'll propagate through some propagating materials like stolon, some suckers and all. So seed also include propagating materials. Just make note of it. So under this act, the seed is considered as an essential commodity. After that, so it should, so let's see here, it is issued under Essential Commodity Act. So it made a seed a controlled commodity. After that, then what is the main provision of Seed Control Order? It is seed dealers license. Right? Who are the seed dealers? Seed dealers are those persons who are engaged in export, import, selling of the seeds in the market. Also, their agents. That doesn't mean that the agents can't be dealers. The agents or their or the dealers and their agents are considered as the seed dealers, and they have made the compulsory licensing of those seed dealers. What is compulsory licensing here? Unless they obtain a license from a government where we have a licensing authority. Who will provide the license? The licensing authority, which is established under state governments, or for UT it is for UT government. So the licensing authority will provide a license to the seed dealers, then only they can go for a marketing of the seeds. That is a very, very important provision in Seed Control Order. Okay. Then next. So in detail, if we go for a Seed Act, if we see the applicability, It will apply to only notified varieties. Okay, notified kind or varieties. Then what are the sanctioning legislations here? Like we have a CSC, which is very, very important. It is the apex body. Remember, in Seed Act, we have so many provisions like seed certification agencies, seed testing laboratories, seed inspectors, seed analysts, everything. But who is the apex body here? The Seed Central Seed Committee. Remember this. Also, we have CSCB, Central Seed Certification Board. This is a board which is providing a minimum standards for purity and germination now. Remember this also. Central Seed Certification Board, in the same way state seed certification agencies and seed testing laboratories at central as well as state. Then what are all the regulatory legislations we have? Like seed inspectors. Okay, we have sanctioning legislations. Matlab, we have those governing bodies who are working at the central or state level in the office. But in actual, who will regulate it? Who is functioning in a practical way, at field level? That is seed inspectors and also seed analysts. What seed inspectors will do? They will govern both. They'll do both field inspection as well as seed inspection. That means after harvesting, that is at processing level. After processing, what happens? The field inspectors will send samples for the analysis. There comes the role of seed analyst. What seed analyst will actually do? He will test the quality, right? Then also we have the appellate authority. So what is appellate authority? As I said, we have, how many sections are there in Seed Act? Let me know how many sections are there in Seed Act 1966. Answer it. It's a very, very important and very basic question. So there are 25 sections. You should remember all the 25 sections because it is very, very important. In these 25 sections, I will tell you the 3 very important sections. Okay. Okay. Section 8. What is Section 8? It is the establishment of seed certification agency. What is 9? It is application for certification. And what is 10? The grant of certificate. And what is 11? Here comes appeal. Okay. If some fields or some seeds got rejected, maybe at the field level or at the seed level, then what to do? If that person is really think that he got any wrong information or he got some wrong decision from the seed certification agency, if he is really aggrieved by the decision of seed certification agency, then he can go for the appellate authority. In appellate authority, since it is a quasi judicial, that means it is similarly act like a judicial body. That is as a court. There also they will see what exactly happened, what is the ground of rejections from a seed certification agency, and what is the reasons or is there any explanation from the farmer side. They'll just analyze everything and they'll give some decision, and that decision, whichever given by the appellate authority, is final. Just remember this. So that we have that provision also, that is appellate authority. And who will notify the varieties? So we have Central Seed Committee, Central Seed Certification Board, State Certification Agencies. And what is the main provision in a Seed Act is, remember this line, voluntary certification but compulsory labeling. So in Seed Act, in our government, the labeling is compulsory but certification is voluntary. And we have provisions like IMSS. Last class we have discussed it, right? It's popularly known as Blue Book. In 1988, it is given by Anwar and Singh, but it is revised once in 2030. We are following that, okay? IMSCS or Blue Book. And also we have label should contain necessary information. We have seed law enforcement. We have central seed testing laboratories. Don't don't think that certification is only field inspection or getting certified. How it gets certified? Once it analyze it through analyst about the quality, if you once come to know about the quality, if it meets all the field as well as seed standards, then only they will provide a grant, right? So let me tell you one thing, seed certification includes, so this field inspections and what are all the other phases, seed testing. Remember, seed testing is also part of seed certification. Then grow out test is also part of seed certification. Then control test, anyway we are going to discuss in this class. Control test, that is pre-control as well as post-control. So all these four, like field inspections, seed testing, GOT and control test, all are under seed certification. Remember this, seed testing is a part of seed certification. Then we have a state seed testing laboratories, seed inspectors and seed analysts. These are the main provisions of a Seed Act 1966. Then we have new policy on seed development. After that, we got a policy in 1988 which allowed the import of seed and planting material. What is the objective of this? To make sure that our Indian farmers will get the best planting material available in the world. Some plants, some of course we are going for introductions and we are going for a cultivation of exotic plants. We need the planting material which is available in the world. So for that, for easy import, OGL, that is open grant license, we got this policy, that is new policy on seed development, which allowed the import of seeds and planting materials. Then thereby it has boosted the private sector involvement and it also facilitated the technology transfer and some collaborations. After that, in 2002, we got National Seed Policy. This policy has strengthened the quality assurance and some certification systems, and it also encouraged the biotechnological and transgenic crop research. After that only we got GM crops, right? Can anybody tell me when the GM cotton has been introduced? GM cotton, when it is commercially released in India, GM cotton, it is in 2002 March. After this policy only, they have emphasized the transgenic crop research. Thereby it also promoted the export of Indian seeds. Then also we have a EXIM policy which is formulated in 2002 and 7. It has liberalized some import and export of the seeds and also the planting materials. So it allowed the import of high quality and specialized seeds with evaluation. After evaluating for 3 to 4 months, then we are exporting or then we are importing the seeds, thereby the quality is assured. Okay. Then it has also promoted the India's integration into global seed trade. Right? Nice. Vishal, right answer, it is in 2002 March. Then after all this, since the time changes, even the provisions or the regulation and we need some change in the rules also. Thereby it has came the concept of seed bill. In this seed bill, they have proposed for some changes. It is proposed for the replacement of Seed Act 1966. I'll just discuss what is the difference between Seed Act and these bills here. So just it is Seed Act 1966, the Seed Bill 2004, it is Seed Bill 2010, it is 2019. What is the major differences between these provisions? In 1966, agriculture includes only horticulture. They have not defined what exactly the different definition of agriculture and what are all the crops included. But in seed bill, they have revised the definition and they have included along with the horticulture, the forestry, plantation crops, medicinal and aromatic plants. So the same definition has been followed in the 2010 and 19 bill. So they have not defined some terms like what is seed, what is variety, who is farmer, who is dealers, what is extant variety, farmer variety and all. But in 2004 and 10, they have given definition for such terms. They have clearly defined what is seed, who is considered to be cultivator, who is considered to be farmer, who is considered to be dealer and all. Okay. About registration, which is very, very, very important provision. In Seed Act 1966, they have given only notified varieties should be certified. Okay. But in 2004, 10 and 19 bill, they have told that all the released and notified varieties should be registered under PPV FRA. And they have given this 15 and 18 years terms of protection. But this term of protection has been reduced in Seed Bill 2010, that is 10 years for annuals and 12 years for perennials. And in 2010, they mainly emphasize that all the seeds which are for a sale, they must be registered. Okay. Then about transgenic varieties, in 1966, there is no any provision which is given separately for emphasizing the transgenic varieties. But in 2004, 10 and all, they have given special provision, a very separate provision about the transgenic varieties. That means the transgenic varieties, once it got a clearance from the Environmental Protection Act, once got approval from the Genetic Engineering Appraisal Committee, then which is under Environmental Protection Act, then it can be registered, the transgenic variety. Okay. In 2010, they have added one more point here, that is the registered transgenic, they should conform to the specific standards, like they should have some minimum standards about germination, purity and all, and those standards should be presented on the label of the container. Okay. That is the main difference between the 2004 and 10. They have given just a provision about the transgenic. Here they have emphasized that there should be a minimum standards about transgenic varieties. And about seed committee, that is central seed committee we have. The central seed committee is established by central government. Remember this. In Seed Act, we have some bodies which are established by central government and some other bodies which are established by state government. The state government, like state seed certification agencies, state seed testing laboratories, seed inspectors, seed analysts, all are under state government. But this Central Seed Certification Board, CSCB, Central Seed Committee, Central Seed Testing Laboratories, those are all under central level. So this CSC, which is apex body, it should be central government. After consulting with only, we can notify the any variety. So here in 2004, they have proposed that there should be a state seed committee also. There should be a separate central as well as state seed committee. Okay. In 1966 Act, they have emphasized that which category of seed can be permitted for a sale. Only certified varieties, right? In 2010, remember this, the certified as well as truthful labeling, that is self-certified, also be promoted or permitted for a sale. And other major differences, where it comes to exemption of farmers, in 1966 they have given farmers rights, farmers varieties, no need to be registered. But this 2004 bill exempted the farmers from the requirement of compulsory registration, but they have stipulated that they cannot sell any seed under a brand name, and there should be a minimum prescribed limits for germination, physical purity and genetic purity. Okay. And compensation, if there is any dispute about the quality of a seed, it should be settled in the consumer court. Okay. But here the bill provides that in case any seed fails to keep its quality, which is promised by seed producers or distributors, they can claim a compensation from the dealers or distributors directly. That is the difference between here. Okay, then when it comes to export and import, a person is okay. It is also very, very important. Under section 17 it comes. where it will say that a person is restricted from exporting or importing of the variety, any variety, unless it conforms to the minimum limits of the germination in 1966. The one more point is added in 2004 bill. What is that? Whatever all the imports we are importing, it should be subjected to the quarantines under Plant Quarantine Order 2003 and DEEP Act, that is Destructive Insecticides Act 1914. So these are the major differences and the major provisions they are asking for the replacement of seed act. Just go through, if any other provisions are there, just go through the whole PDF. What exactly the difference between the seed act 1966? What are all the additional points they are proposing in the seed bill 2004, 10 and 19? Okay. This is a very factual things. We have to remember, we have to mug up the things, we have to repeatedly have to study this. Okay. Okay. Let's come to seed certification. So as I told earlier, in early 20th century, it is started in North America and Canada. We all discussed that. In India, how it is started? In India, it is started with ACRP on maize. And it is started in 1957. With this project, the process has been begun. Then we got a NSC in 1963. This NSC has acted as a foundation seed producer as well as stocking agency. Then the NSC was the sole responsible for the certification until state government took over, that is Seed Act. So it has marked the beginning of organized seed industry in India. Okay, let me tell you one thing, what is exactly seed certification now? After all this background, I can say that seed certification is a legally sanctioned system, right? The legal sanction system for what? For regulating the quality of a seed, starting from the production to the distribution. Okay, this is exactly the this is the definition of seed certification. Yeah, these are the milestones in seed certification. Just let's brush up that some things. Okay, in 63, 64, there is a beginning of certification, that is NSC. So 66, we got a seed act. In 67, we had a SRT, that is seed review team. Then with this, we got seed rules, 1968. Then in 1969, seed act has been enforced. In 1969, we got some minimum seed certification standards. In 1971, we had a NCA, National Commission on Agriculture. And in 72, we got Central Seed Certification Board. Remember, if we have 25 sections, that doesn't mean all the provisions were in at the time of 1966. There were some amendments and accordingly they have added some provisions. So make note of this, the CSCB, whatever we have, it has established in 1972 with the amendment of addition of section 8A. Remember this. Okay. In 1980, we got a seed certification handbook. In 85, the publication of handbook of cultivars. In 88, as I mentioned, Tanwar and Singh, they have given the revised minimum seed certification standards, popularly known as Blue Book. Okay, in 93, we got handbook of seed testing. In 95, we have published the National Catalogue of Varieties. It means the list of all the notified varieties. That is National Catalogue. Then in 1997, we have published the compendium of proceedings of Central Subcommittee on Crop Standards, Notification and Release, that is CSC. Till 1997, who was responsible for release of varieties? We had CVRC and SVRC, right? Central Varietal Release Committee, State Varietal Release Committee. But from 1997, it has completely shifted for Central that is CSC. Under that, we have some subcommittees on the crop standard, notification and release of varieties. The same subcommittees we have at the state level also. Remember, some state varieties are released through these state subcommittees. And the 2003 is the third revised minimum seed certification standards, which is we currently following this one, the 2013 Blue Book. Okay. We talked about everything, seed certification. Who actually responsible or who is undertaking the complete process of seed certification? That is seed certification agency. So, what are the basic requirement or conditions to say it is a seed certification agency? The seed certification should not be involved in any marketing or production of the seeds. That means that should not involve any commercial business. Point one. And it should be autonomous, it should not be under any government or it should not be under any private agencies. And it should provide the uniform standards and procedures. And it should have some association with the technical committees. And what is the long term objective for the seed certification agency is no profit, no loss basis. And it should have adequate staff, it should have adequate facilities, and the main objective is to serve both the producers as well as buyers and assure the quality seed. So remember these things. What are the basic requirements for a seed certification agency? Then Seed Act and seed certification, how it started. So we have some provisions as I already mentioned. This section 8, I mentioned it. Section 8A, okay. 9 is grant of certificate, 10 is revocation of certificate, and 11 is appeal. And in seed rules, where we have 11 parts and 38 rules, right? Seed rules. In that, part 4 will specifically mentions the functions of certification agency. Then it also mentions who is certified seed producer. Who is certified seed producer? Try to answer this. Who is certified seed producer? The person or organization who really grows or distributes the certified seed and in accordance with the standards of the certification is considered to be seed producer. And what is the eligibility? It should be notified variety. Okay. You have to remember all these things since it's very important. Okay, then what are the basic tools for seed certification? We have already discussed those, that is IMSCS. There should be a minimum seed certification standards. And what are the phases or different steps we have in certification? So whoever is preparing for seed tech, if you really want to know what exactly seed certification and all, you have to follow IMSCS. You have to know about IMSCS or Blue Book completely. Okay. Since the standards are different for different crops, it varies from crop to crop. So you have to see each and every standard, especially the seed standards as well as field standards. And general field standards you can remember in a whole, like the general for these cereals, it is general. For pulses in a whole. But wherever they have mentioned the specific crop standards, especially the seed standards, you have to go through that. So for that, the only source is IMSCS. In short, we have provided this in our AgriAddict notes also. You can go through that. So, seed certification agencies, right? Certification means we have a concept called certified seed. As we all know, there are different classes of seed, that is breeder seed, we know, foundation seed, certified seed, right? Here we have breeder seed and certified seed only. What does it mean? Breeder seed, what is breeder seed? Answer it. What is breeder seed? So breeder seed is a kind of seed directly controlled by or monitored by its original breeder or any sponsoring breeder of that organization or institute, right? Here, the quality of breeder seed is completely and directly controlled by the original breeder. But what happens in certified seed? Certified seed is which is certified by the certification agency. We can't go for commercial cultivation of breeder seed. We are going only for the breeder seed to foundation, foundation seed to certify. These two can be certified by the certification agency. So both of these, foundation as well as certified seeds, are considered as a certified seed. Don't get confused this. Here we have foundation seed and certified seed, right? In foundation, we have two stages. Foundation seed stage 1 and 2. Remember, whenever we are going for a seed supply chain, that is the generation system, right? It is called generation, breeder to foundation, foundation to certified. There should be minimum generations, minimum number of, so that we can maintain the genetic purity as well as other aspects of seed. So when we go for foundation 2, stage 2, when the certification agency really feels that okay, breeder seed is in short supply, or we really need a higher amount of seed, then only it will go for a foundation seed. For what are all the crops we can go for foundation seed? It is for self pollinated, cross pollinated, often cross pollinated, and apomictic, also the vegetatively propagated one, synthetics, composites, and also the parental line increase of hybrids. Remember, for all these species, we can go for foundation seed stage 2. So what is foundation seed? The progeny of breeder seed. Is there any difference between the standards for say stage 1 and 2? Answer this question. Is there any difference between the standards for foundation seed stage 1 and 2? If yes, what are those? Okay. There is no difference between the standards unless it is prescribed. For some crops, maybe about the designated diseases or anything, unless it is prescribed, there is no any difference between the standards for these stages. And the same tag color will be given. What is the tag color of foundation seed? We have discussed it so many times about this. So you have to answer this question. What is the tag color of a foundation seed? Vishal, Vinny, answer this. So it is white, right? Will be given both foundation seed stage 1 and 2 is white on both the sides. Okay. So foundation, then certified seed. Here also we have stage 1 and stage 2. But remember, when we have to go for stage 1 and 2, if we have this system, breeder seed, foundation seed 1, foundation seed 2, then certified seed 1, then certified seed 2. Here I am writing. Is it really possible to follow, or can we go for this 5 generation system? Is breeder seed 2? Yeah, we shall write it is white color, foundation 2 stages and certified 2 stages. Is it okay? Remember, beyond this breeder seed, there should be a maximum of 3 generations. Okay. What does it mean? If we are going for foundation seed both the stages 1 and 2, then we can go for certified stage only one time. We can't go again for certified stage 2 just to minimize the contamination or to maintain the purity. We are going only for the maximum of 3 generation system here. So if okay, we are not following foundation only the one stage in foundation, then we can go for 2 stages. Okay, after this we can't go for third one. Okay, just make note of it. Okay, tell me what is the tag color of certified seed now? Certified seed. The tag color. This is azure blue. Okay. This is about classes and source of seed. For each stage, we have to maintain the genetic purity and all other quality aspects so that we can keep our seed very pure. Okay. Then What are the different phases of certification? Very, very, very important. And here only we will cover every aspect of certification. And where you will get a questions, a very important area, it is phases of seed certification. There are 6 phases. Phases are stages, right? So the first one is receipt and scrutiny of application. Second one is verification of seed source and field inspection, supervision at after harvesting, that is transportation, then processing, threshing and all. Then seed sampling and analysis. In analysis, we will get everything: testing for germination, purity, moisture. Okay. Then at the last, we will going to grant the certificate, tags and seals. These are the different phases. We'll go into one by one. So in first, what is the first stage? See here, receipt and scrutiny of application. If any seed producer or any person intending to produce a certified seed, then he have to apply for it for seed certification agency. When he submit application with application fee of 25 rupees, that is per season. Okay? It is irrespective of crop, irrespective of here. Any organizations or any corporations are not considered as individuals. Only the seed farmers are considered as individuals, that is 25 rupees per season as a application fee. This is not certification fee, okay? This is just application fee. Okay, with this amount, whatever, if we apply for it or if we fill the application and if we give it to certification agency, they will scrutinize it. Scrutinize means they'll check it, they'll go through it. Okay, oh, who is actually, is there any land requirement, if we can meet any isolation distance or not, is he obtained a source from authentic source or not, seed, that is right. They will check the seeds, the tags, labels or any purchase records from where he purchased. It should be authentic, right? Everything start from a seed, that's why it should be pure and authentic seed. Okay, they'll check for that. Then if that application meets all the criteria, then they'll go for the verification of seed source and other requirements. What is the other requirements? The land requirements. The land should be free from the volunteer plants and the seed-borne diseases, seed-borne pests and soil-borne pests, sorry. Then also is there any the diseases prevalent in that area? It should be free from that. And also preceding crop requirement. What is preceding crop? Before that, it should not have the same variety certification, right? It should not produce the same variety, same class or same stage of seed in the previous season. That is a preceding crop requirement. Then they will go for the field inspection. What is the objective of field inspection? Just by seeing it, can we know, okay, the field is good, the seed is performed, the crop is meeting all the requirements? No, right? That is what is the sole objective of field inspection is to verify those factors which is causing a irreversible damage to the purity or quality of our plant. So we will discuss it in detail what exactly means field inspection. Yeah, as I told, to verify those factors which will cause the irreversible damage to the genetic purity. Who will inspect the field? As I told, yes, right, the purity maintaining is the right answer. Who will inspect the field? Is seed certification officer called as field inspector, who is authorized from the registering authority, that is seed certification agency. He should only do field inspections. The normal people can't do field inspection, right? So he should be trained, he should be authorized person. So how he will, it will start from entering into field, right? Field inspection. So for a field inspection, every field inspector should have some schedule so that they can attend in, they will be provided some area, right? Okay, this area you should take, this area you should inspect. So they should have some prepared schedule so that they will cover every area, every farmer on time. So there is a different pattern of field inspections. Just to enter, how we will, let's consider this is a field, okay? We can enter in any way, but Based on the efficiency, we are considering different pattern of inspection. Just he can enter from here, we'll go in this way, zigzag. Just imagine if it is a field, if we go like this and if we come back, how can he cover this area and this area? The maximum area he can't cover. That is why he can, the walking pattern. Okay, where in this case he can cover 75% area. Okay, in this way, if we go here in zigzag pattern, he will come back. This is 60% area he can cover. Yeah, you can see here, if it is field, if we enter from this side and if he walks in this way, he can cover almost 85% area. Just see the difference here, where this field is not covered here, but here is covering almost all the field. So this is zigzag pattern. It is also here also he can cover almost 70 to 80%, and he can go at random also, right? There is no any pattern. He can go, he can walk in a field, he can just observe is there any impurities, off types and all. He can go in a random also. And it is a clockwise pattern. See, the clockwise pattern. These are the different patterns of inspection. Okay, let me tell you one thing. While inspecting, while walking, first the seed grower, whoever the seed producer or the person of that field, he should demarcate the borders first. Or else how can the field inspector know the boundary of the field? But that doesn't mean that seed inspector should only restricted to field, that boundary only. He can watch the other areas also. Especially, is there any roads going through that field, or is there any threshing yards nearby, or any the farm vicinity like buildings and all, right? Since those are the source of contaminants, he can inspect those places also. Don't think that you should only enter the field and you should go come back. No, okay. So just this you have to answer. This is a case 1, this is a case 2. This is a field which is under certification. We have a contaminant here, that is contaminant A, you may think it as, okay, this pattern, and another contaminant B in this pattern. So this portion I am just marking, that is Z portion. In case 1, it is inside, and case 2, it is at the boundary. In which case there is a possibility of rejecting the field? So answer this, in which case, in case 1 and 2, in which case there is a possibility of rejecting this field? Answer this question, the case 1 and this is the case 2. Yes, we shall right answer in the case 1, because here the contaminant is inside the field. You can clearly see this. So it can cause direct damage, right, to genetic purity or any. It is based on the contaminant. If it is weed, it will cause a mechanical admixtures. If it is any other crop species, it will cause a genetic purity by cross pollination. But here there is no chance of any contamination, right? So if it is a case, there is a chance of getting rejected. Okay, good answer, Vishal. And the next, there is a differences of number of field inspections we are doing, right? For self-pollinated it is different, for cross-pollinated it is different, for hybrids also it is different. In self-pollinated, usually we will go for 2, and in cross-pollinated we'll go for 3, and here in hybrids it is 4 maximum. So it is based on the what type of crop it is, either it is self, crop or hybrids. In self-pollinated, 2 times we can inspect the field. It may be from flowering to the harvesting. At any time he can inspect. Okay. So just let me tell you at what stages, what are all the factors they are inspecting. If at pre-flowering stage, that is at vegetative stage, what are all the sources they are checking? They are checking for seed source. Okay, whether he has gone for a right seed source sowing or not, and they'll confirm the acreage, whatever reported in the application, is it right or not? Acreage, that means how much area. Then they also check for land requirement, that is isolation and all. They check for planting ratios, border rows, and also they guide the grower here, that is farmer, for the identification of off types or any pollen shedders, diseased plants, shedding tassels, and everything. Okay, that is in vegetative stage. But if it is at flowering stage, this may be second for self pollinated, or this may be first for self pollinated, sometimes cross pollinated. Okay, just remember at flowering, it is a very critical field inspection stage. They'll confirm the observations. Okay, they just see if it is their second inspection. They'll just see whether whatever the suggestions given to the farmers in a field inspection stage one, whether they have corrected it or not. Like any modification of isolation distance, they have mentioned it. Of any changes in border rows, they have corrected it or not. They'll check for that first, and then they'll confirm whether the grower had continued the rogging after the previous inspection or not. Then they also verify the off types, pollen shedders, shedding tassels, weeds, and all the diseased plants. Then inspection during the post flowering and pre-harvest stage. Post flowering, they'll confirm the same way correctness of the previous inspection, and they guide the grower on rogging. Sometimes some weed plants will grow very late or mature very late after flowering. So such types should be removed. The rogging should be continuous. It doesn't mean that you should go for rogging for only 1 month. You have to do rogging. No. Whenever you will identify the off types, whenever you will identify the undesired plants, you have to go for rogging. Then they also explain the grower when and how to harvest the crop. Remember, while inspecting, the inspector not only sees the impurities, off types and all, he also see the what is the condition of the crop, and he also assess the yield level at that time itself, and he will inform the farmer. He will guide him about the harvesting and also the processing techniques. Okay, and the last one is inspection during the harvest. It is called as maturity inspection. Inspection at the maturity stage. But the exception, you just note here, for maize, we are doing bin inspection. That means after removing from the crops, in seed bins, we are going for the inspection in case of maize. The only exception, just remember this. This is called bin inspection. At the end, what they have to check? They will check complete removal of off types, other crops, weeds and all, and they will check for the seed. They also instruct the growers for the storage and transportation. In general, I'm telling these are the different stages of field inspection and what are the different sources they are checking. And about field count, I have told you will do inspection. How he will exactly do? Is it possible if somebody having a 10 hectares of land? 10 hectares means it is almost 25 acres. Is it possible for inspector to completely go through 25 acres? Not, right? So there comes a concept of field count. How many counts he should take so that he will come to know what is the percent of off types or what is the quality of that plant field. Here we have different. It is different from the. It varies from crop to crop. The number of field counts. It is for majorly. Just remember 4 types here. The soybean, jute, mesta, bersim. By saying, you just come to know it is closely spaced, right? Or we also go for broadcasting. For such, we have to choose at least 1,000 plants. We have to inspect 1,000 plants. They are closely planted one. In case of medium spaced, especially all are pulses. Just easy to remember this. Though we have some other like safflower and all, majorly they are pulses, they are medium spaced. We have to inspect at least 500 plants. And in case of wide spaced, Like vegetables we have cucurbits and then tomato, bendi, brinjal, chili and all. There we have to inspect minimum of 100 plants. And in tillering crops like wheat, oat, barley, paddy, ragi and all, it is heads. It is not plants, it is 1000 heads minimum. Okay, how to know this? I just explain here. For example, the minimum number of field counts I'm taking up to 2 hectares. Remember this, 2 hectares means 5 acres. It is minimum 5 counts you should take. Okay, then increase in the 2 hectares every time. There will be increase in 1 count. That means 2 to 4 hectares it is 6, 4 to 6 it is 7, 6 to 8 it is 8, 8 to 10 it is 9, more than 10 it is 10. Okay, remember this. For every increase in the 2 hectare land, there is an increase in the 1 field count. Minimum, for example, 5 counts. This is for 1 count I am doing, right? Minimum number of per count. That is, minimum number of plants or head to be inspected per count. That means we have 1000 plants here. In case of soybean, I am telling 1000. Just the field inspector will come and he'll just walk, right? He'll just throughout the field, or he'll just for some steps, and he may be considering it as with 1 step he may count. Okay, with 1 step, for example, with 1 step he can see the 50 plants. By taking 1 step, he can cover the 50 plants. Then how many plants we have to inspect? That is 1000. From 1 step we can cover 50. That is, minimum 20 steps we should take to complete 1 count. Okay, right? To complete 1 count, we should take minimum 20 steps. Minimum is 5 count, right? That is up to 2 hectares. I'm telling minimum is 5 counts. That means, okay, from the first time, that is for the first count, I'm entering from this side. This is the field. I'm entering from this side, and let me explain in crops how is counting the field plants. In case of this closely planted crops, it is broadcasted. If they are broadcasted, how to take it? If it is broadcasted, we don't have any rows or to walk clearly, right? So he will be having a 1 square meter frame. Okay, he will be having 1 square meter frame. He just keep that. So on the plants, he will just count how many plants we can cover with 1 time. So he'll just count it in the same way. If if he is keeping that frame 1 time, if he is thinking the 100 plants I can cover, so if it is 1000, then minimum 10 times he should keep here and there, right? But he should enter it in a different positions. For example, this is a field. For the first count, if he is entering from this side, he will take the 20 steps here and there. Then it is better if he enter from that side, right? He can cover this area also. The third time he can enter from this side. Fourth time he can enter from that side. So from the different counts, for different counts, you have to enter it from the different locations so that he can easily cover all the field. Okay, got it? In case of soybean or broadcasted, we are using the 1 meter square frame. Then what about this medium spaced one or wide spaced crops? We just see there. Okay, we just keep on walking. Field inspector will walk and he will see how many plants he can cover with 1 step. The same way he will count how many steps he should take, and after that what he will do, since in medium and wide space he can walk very easily since he will be having enough space. Then if it is a field, these are the plant, right, rows. He will enter from here, he will walk for how many steps he need, then he will skip this since he has covered it this way, this side and that side, he will skip it, and again he will start from here parallelly. Then again he will skip these 2 to 3 rows, again he start walking from here, so that he can cover all field with a prescribed or minimum number of field counts. Got this? It is very important. And sometimes what happens, we are having a tillering crops. We have to observe the heads. Then what happens? It is very easy to remember in tillering crops, because continuously consecutive 100 heads we have to observe. Then we have to change. That's it. That means continuously we are seeing the 100 heads. Then we are skipping here. Then 100 heads we are skipping here. And 100 heads, like that. 10 rows he should walk continuously. Got it? It is in case of tillering crops. This frame we are using in case of broadcasting. While walking, it is better if you walk from his back side. Because of that sunlight and all, he can clearly the impurity. He can clearly see the off types, any other impurities, or is there any some morphological difference. If it reflected from the sunlight, he may got confused whether it is due to sunlight or it is really a off type. So if he walks from his backside or sidewise, it is better. Or else for short crops, what you have to do, you have to squat. We know squats, right? You have to squat or bend so that his eye level should should be matched with that level, so that he can clearly observe all the plants. Got it? This is the procedure of field inspection, or how field inspector should walk the field. So this one I have explained it already, the minimum number of field counts and double count. What does it mean? Okay, this is also very important, because so many people will confuse here. Before that, let me explain you other things. Yeah, what are the points to be considered before counting? What? Okay, just we'll go before getting into wheel. You should know which are the plants you have to inspect. Right? We have two types here. That is physical contaminant, genetical contaminants. What are the physical contaminants? We have inseparable crop plants, objectional weed plants. Then we have diseased plants, objectional disease. You just remember. Okay, these are the physical contaminants. In genetical, we have off types, pollen shedders, and shedding tassels. Very, very important. Just a minute. Yeah. Let me explain all these terms first. What is off type, what is pollen shedders, what is shedding tassel, and all. Okay. First one is off type. What is off type? Off type is the same crop. For example, we have wheat. The wheat plant, it is the same crop species, but showing difference in the morphological traits, like height maybe, or any anthesis time, or any ear traits. It is of the same crop species but showing some morphological differences, that is called off types. While encountering, the field inspector, what he have to observe is, for every type of contaminant, the two types, he will see whether this off type is coinciding with the maturity of our seed crop, that is wheat. We are going for certification of wheat, for example. We have to see this off type is maturing at the same time when our seed crop or main crop is maturing. Then obviously it will cause some contamination, right? Like any admixtures, there is a chance of mechanical admixtures. Then he have to count it as off type, and he should inform the farmer that immediately he should rogue out this off type. If not, if this off type is not at all matching with the maturity period of the same crop, that means it is not maturing when our seed crop is maturing, so that there is no any chances of causing contamination, at that time he won't count it as a off type. Okay, he should not count it, but he has to inform it or special. He have to mention it very specially so that in the next inspection he can remove it, right? Or he has to inform the farmer about removal of this type of off type. The same way, the pollen shedders. What is pollen shedders? The concept comes in hybrid seed production, right? In hybrid seed production, what happens? We have A lines, B lines, R lines, everything. 3 lines will be there. In CGMS, A line is male sterile line, B line is male fertile or maintainer line, R is restorer line. We will be having the different blocks or any, for example, 4:2 ratio, that is A and B lines. This is A line, 4 lines will be A, then 2 lines will be B, then again 4 lines will be A. Okay. If is there any presence of B line in A, it means any fertile anthers, because B is male fertile, right? A is male sterile. So is the if it, any presence of B in A considered as a pollen shedder. Okay. Other than that, just remember, if A in B is called as pollen shedder, no. Just remember only one case, that is pollen shedder is presence of B in A, not A in B, and not other things, R in A. They'll give options like this also, or A in R, or A in B. No. There is no any, only one condition, that is B in A, and other condition. Sometimes what happens in male sterile line itself, that is in A line, what happens? Some anthers on maybe on the central spike or the side tillers or any center main tiller, sometimes what happens, they'll exert some anthers, right? That means they'll show some fertile anthers. Such cases are called as partials, right? You heard of it. Partials. The partials are also pollen shedders. These are the only conditions for to be considered as a pollen shedder. One is presence of B in A and presence of fertile anthers in case of A, that is partials. Okay. Yes, Vishal, it is right. B line in A line is called pollen shedder. That is right answer. Then, what about shedding tassel? The name itself indicates where we observe this term tassel. In which crop we call it as tassel? Yes, it is in maize. Okay. The male part is called tassel, right? So in hybrid seed production, what happens? In we will be having female rows, female plants. Okay. In female plants, there any exerted anthers or shed pollen or shedding pollen or already shed the pollen, they all are termed as shedding tassels. Okay. For example, in female plant, this is a female plant. In inflorescence, if 5 centimeter or more, okay, if 5 centimeter or more of the ear showing anthers, fertile anthers, that is termed as shedding tassel. Okay, just remember this. If it has not yet shed the pollen, but there is a chance of shedding in the future, then they should not count it as a shedding tassel, but they have to mention it with a special provision, that so that in the when they come for the second inspection or the third inspection, they'll just observe those things. Okay. If it is already shed or shedding, then only we can count it, or else we should not count it, but we should make mention of it. Okay. That is about shedding tassel. Got it? What is off type? What is pollen shedder and shedding tassel? Then inseparable other crop plants. The name itself indicate an other crop. For wheat, what are the other crop plants? Inseparable means the seeds are similar. Plants are also similar in such a way that it is very difficult to demarcate between which is a seed crop and which is off type. That is inseparable other crop plant. It is very difficult to difference. It is very difficult to remove such seeds once it got mixed. Okay, that is other crop plants. For wheat, we have barley, we have oat, we have gram, triticale. Okay, these are inseparable other. What are objectional wheats? Objectionable means we don't want at all. Objected there. Okay, objections means if once they got established, very difficult to remove. Once they got mixed, very difficult to separate. It is not at all of use. They will cause the mechanical admixtures in turn. Okay, so that is objectionable wheat plants. What are diseased plants? In some crops, we have various specifications for seed-borne diseases. For example, in wheat, we have loose mud, right? So those are diseased plants. I'll explain here. I'll just have mentioned here. So what are off type volunteer plants, pollen shedders, shedding tassels, all this. They also check for land requirement. That means it should be free from volunteer plants, preceding crop requirements, they will check. Then they also check for isolation. It has met the proper isolation or not, especially for tall crops and which require a sizable isolation. That means for Bajra hybrid, we need almost 1,000 meters, right? For such crops, they will check critically the surrounding areas also. Remember this. So for wheat, we have oat, barley, gram, and triticale. For barley, it is different, like oat, gram, wheat, and triticale. Just remember for one combination, you can go, you can answer for others. So for diseases, we have in wheat, we have loose mud, in sorghum, grain and head smut, pearl millet, ergot. Very important since they are some diseases. There are 6 diseases. They are designated diseases in India, right? Remember this. I have mentioned it in every class. There are 6 designated diseases in India. Other than that, there are IMSCs where they have mentioned the specific permissible limits for other diseases. So like cowpea, we have anthracnose, green gram. It is also very important. Halo blight. In gingerly, we have leaf spot. In sunflower, it is downly mildew. In brinjal, phomopsis blight. In chili, leaf blight and anthracnose. In tomato, it is virus, early blight and leaf spot. Okay, these are the some of the objectional diseases also. Yeah, we have inspected field. Okay, we got, okay, if field is, for example, the IMSS says for off types, I'm just taking example. In case of feet, it is 0.5%. For foundation, 1%. Are certified. If the field met this permissible limits, it is okay. They will prepare one report that is called inspection report, where they will mention column wise. They are mentioned which is a crop, how many number of half types are there, how many weeds are there, how many diseased plants are there. Then okay. If not, okay. If not, the foundation seed, it has met the 0.75%. Let us assume this, and it is almost 1.5%. Then what to do? We go for rejection of the field? No. Then we have to go for re-inspection. That is, we have to again go for the counting. Again, we have to check for the off types or any other impurities. That is called re-inspection. It should be done with the request of seed producer. Okay, only with the request of seed producer it will go. Or sometimes, if is there any confusion between the producer and certificate and that inspector, then also the certification agency intentionally it can go for re-inspection. Okay, 1 or 2 re-inspections it can go. In re-inspection, what happens? They can suggest a farmer that to remove such contaminants which are really causing a contamination in case of in our seed crop. So the factors which can be removed without hampering the seed quality. By removing such contaminants, there is no any difference between our seed crop quality, or it doesn't hamper any quality of our main seed crop. Then they can suggest a farmer to remove such off types or such contaminants. Okay. And for re-inspection, they'll take off of the inspection charges. Let me tell you here, for self-pollinated, it is 50 rupees. Okay. For others, like hybrids, including hybrid castor, it is 75 rupees per hectare. Okay. Just remember this. But for re-inspection, it is rupees 30 per hectare. Okay. Then, so it is about re-inspection. And what about double count? I have mentioned it here, right? When we go for re-inspection or double count, if it is the factor which is not meeting the standards, but that it is within the 2 times of prescribed limit. For example, here I mentioned it is 0.5%, right? 2 times of it is 1. If it is within 1%, that is it, here it is 0.75. For 1, it is 2%, right? But it is showing 1.5%. If it is within that permissible limit, 2 times of permissible limit, then only we can go for re-inspection for that factor. Don't think that, okay, for example, I'm telling you for objectionable weed plants. If the objectionable weed plant character is not meeting the standards, then we should go for inspection of only that factor. That doesn't mean that we should again count for off types, again count for the shedding tassels, pollen shedders and all. No. Okay, that is one condition. For what are the factors it is not meeting, we have to inspect only that factor. Condition 1. Okay. In case of hybrids, we will be having 2 parents, right? Separately. If one parent is not meeting the prescribed limits, then the other parent, we have to inspect the other parent. Remember this. Don't think that, okay, anyway one parent is not meeting the standards, is there is no use of inspecting the other parent. No, we have to make it separate, and even though the one parent is not meeting the standards, we have to inspect for the other parent compulsorily. Okay. And all these off types, all these disease plants, whatever we have to mention on the actual basis or actual counts. That means you have to count individually. Okay. You should not say on the visual basis, okay, by seeing, okay, it is okay, the field is okay, field is main, the matching with the weed plants and all. Okay. But so remember this point, the off types, diseased one, objectional weed plants, you have to give this report on the actual count, not on the visual basis. This is the second point. So same way, when we go for re-inspection, when we take the count again, that is called double count, and in report you have to mention the double count only. Okay, then only they'll come to know, okay, it is re-inspected. Then we have one LFR report, that is liable for rejection. If the seed crop fails to meet with any one of the factors as per the standards, then what to do? We can't go for re-inspecting every factor. If it is not even matching with any factor, and that the factor is not even within the permissible limit of 2 times of permissible limits, what is the use of going for it? Then we have to prepare a report that is liable for rejection report, that is LFR. Okay. This is all about field inspection. So we have checked for the source of seed. We went for field area for certification. Is there any minimum or maximum limit for field area? For certification, is there any minimum or maximum limit? No, right? There is no minimum or maximum limit area for seed certification. But to consider it as a 1 unit of certification, if you have to consider for 1 unit, it should be maximum of 10 hectares. That is 25 acres, and that should be of the same variety. It should be under same variety, same class of seed, same stage also, and it should be subjected to same climatic conditions, also the same soil type, everything. If it is under only one variety, is up to 10 hectares, we can consider it as a 1 unit of certification. Remember, there is no maximum or minimum limit for certification. Right. Re-inspection we have already discussed, and after that, just yes. After that, we will be having harvesting, threshing, and transportation. After field inspection, if the crop has met all the field standards, then field inspector will suggest the farmer for harvesting, right? After harvesting, he will do the processing inspection. He will go for processing. That means he can inspect any number of times. Remember, it doesn't mean that there is no minimum limit of inspecting processing plant like field inspections. But for field inspection, we have minimum number of inspections, right? But processing plant, the seed certification officer, that is inspector, can inspect the seed processing plant, and he will inspect there what are all the equipments, the flow of seed to processing, he will check for it. So the processing should be done in the presence of seed certification officer. The sieve size, the recommended sieve size, there is recommendations of different sieve sizes for different crops. Then while processing of paddy, they have given some specifications for paddy, cotton, and groundnut. Remember this, for paddy, they will evaluate the 400 seeds. They'll do the floating test for that, and the maximum float admissible is 5%. Remember, this much is enough. Okay, in paddy it is 5%. In case of cotton, that is ginned seeds will be evaluated, right? There they will see the immature seeds, ill-filled seeds, broken, stained seeds, and over fuzzy seeds. Here also the limit is 2%. And in case of groundnut, they will go for the pod verification. The limit is 4% of ill-filled pods. Remember the limits. In paddy 5, cotton 2, groundnut it is 4. After processing, the seeds may be treated. If the seeds are treated, when they are treated, if the seeds are susceptible to any seed-borne diseases or it has already have a seed-borne pathogen, then they will go for the seed treatments. Whenever they'll do some seed treatment, they have to mention on the label that the seed has treated. If we are using any poisonous chemicals like mercuries or others, if they are using any mercuries or any other poisonous chemicals, then they have to mention do not use for food, feed, and oil purposes. This statement should be given there. Okay. For some seeds, they have to treat it before sowing. In such cases, the recommended dose of that chemical should be packed, and that packet should be kept inside the container. Okay, with mention of the abbreviated chemical name or common name and all. The toxic, is there any toxic substances in that which is really very harmful to the humans? Then the poison should be mentioned on that. The term poison in red label. Okay, the label should be prominent size type so that it can be visible if we go for treatment. Then resampling and reprocessing. After processing, he will go for sampling. like mentioned in seed testing, the same way. Then he will send this sample for analysis. Within 30 days, the analyst should submit the report within 30 days. It is 21 days and not more than the 30 days according to Seed Act 1966. So remember this. After getting a satisfying report, that means the seed has met all the seed standards, then we can grant a certificate. If not, for any of the factors, the seed has not met the prescribed standards, then what we have to go? We have to go for resampling and reprocessing. It is also at the request of the seed producer, we will go for resampling and reprocessing only one time. It is permitted only once. Remember this, okay? So when seed lot does not meet the prescribed seed standards on the request of the producer, we can go for the resampling, and again we have to give for the testing. Here, whenever we are giving that for testing, we have to check for germination, physical purity, and moisture content. Remember, it is about reprocessing and resampling, and there will be a separate fees for that. Then I'll explain also the extension of validity of certificate. What is the validity of certificate? Usually it is 9 months, right? After that, he can also apply for the extension. That is for 6 months at each testing. Okay, if he has applied for it, then they will check for germination, physical purity, and insect damage here. Remember this. For the first time, they will check for germination, physical purity, and moisture content. But for extension, they'll check for germination, physical purity, and insect damage. If it meets all the standards, then they can extend the certificate for another 6 months. Okay, remember this. It's about extension of validity. And the last one is control plot test. What is control plot test? Here we have pre-control and post-control. In pre-control, what are the seeds intended to grow the next one? For example, foundation seeds. They are given for the production of certified seeds. Before the multiplication of certified seeds, they are checked for the grow out test. Okay. Whichever showing a very inferior results here in the grow out test, they are rejected. Those seed lots will be rejected, and those should not be used for the further seed multiplication. That is pre-control. That means before multiplication or before growing of the actual seed, we are checking for it. That is pre. And post-control. In post-control, okay, after field inspection, sampling, tagging and all, we got a certificate, right? To check a quality of sample, we are taking a random sample and we are testing it, just to know how accurately the certification work has been done. That is post control. Okay, remember pre and post control, these are also part of seed certification. Okay, other than that, we have OECD seed certification also. I told, right, at a global level we have, other than IMSCS, at a global level we are following this. In OECD seed certification, we will be having a different schemes. Like for grasses and legumes, it is different. That means schemes means they are providing a different rules or different standards according to scheme. For grasses and legumes, it is different. For crucifers and oils, it is different. For cereals, maize include here. Cereals, it is different. For sugar and fodder wheat, it is different. And clovers, it is different. For vegetables, it is different. Among the 7 schemes, India joined OECD for 5 schemes. For grasses, crucifers, cereals, vegetables, and also the pulses. Okay, we have not joined for fodder wheat as well as clovers. Remember this. And in OECD, the same way we have breeder foundation certified, right? Different tag colors, different labels and all. Let me tell you the tag size also here. For breeder, it is 12 by 6. For foundation and certified, it is 15 by 7.5. And very important here is, what are all the standards we are mentioning in breeder seed tag? Very important question. That is germination, purity, and inert matter. That is pure seed percentage, inert matter percentage, and germination. For only sunflower crop, we are mentioning the oil content also. Remember this. The exception is, for sunflower, we have to mention oil content. So we know the tag colors also. For breeder seed, it is golden yellow. For foundation, it is white. For certified, it is azure blue. Just for purpose, I'm telling. For registered, it is purple, and for truthful, it is opal green. The same way, OECD will give different categories of seed like pre-basic, basic, certified seed first generation, certified seed second generation. Okay, for pre-basic, it is almost like a nucleus seed. Okay, they will give on striped label. In basic, they will give white label. That is white tag. And in certified for first generation, blue, and it is for second generation, it is red. You have to remember this also, since it is very, very, very important. Okay. Here we complete the seed certification as well as the regulatory laws and the regulations, other legislatory bodies we have which govern the seed certification. In overall, what I can say is, you have to refer IMSS for sure, because it will give a complete idea, and you have to remember very, very permissible limits which are mentioned specifically for some crops. And also the other provisions I have detailed, given details only about the Seed Act 1966. Other than that, we have seed control order, we have new policy on seed development, exim policies, and also PPFRS, seed bills. You have to go through those provisions also, and the sections are also important. Try to remember very, very important sections, all the rules. Okay. Okay, here completes our seed certification and legislation unit. Hope it will be clear and it will be useful for you. Thank you. Thank you for your cooperation. And we have mock test for our ASRB exam, and we have master course for PG and PhD courses. So join us and support us. We have Telegram channels, AgriAddict, and we are providing a very good content through Instagram also. Scroll Instagram with useful content. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for your cooperation. AgriAddict loves you all.